Have you ever made a decision, a clear, grounded, certain decision that you were done drinking or doing drugs? Done using, done blowing up your life. And you meant it, not casually, not halfway, you really meant it this time. And then a few days later or a few weeks later, you went back anyway. Not because you didn't care, not because you forgot what happened, something else, but because in that moment, something in your mind told you things would be different this time. I talk a lot about delusion. I talk a lot about obsession, or delusion, the belief that something someday we will be able to control and enjoy our drinking or doing drugs. But here's the problem. Even when that delusion is smashed, completely dismantled, completely taken apart, something else remains in our brains. In Alcoholics Anonymous, this is called the mental obsession. And this is where things get very uncomfortable for us as alcoholics and also as drug addicts, because this is the part that explains why knowledge is not always accurate for us. The mental obsession is not craving. Craving is physical. That's the body. The obsession is mental. It's the thought process that leads you back to the first drink. It's the voice that says things like, oh, this time will be different. I'll be able to handle it better. It wasn't that bad last time. I just need to take the edge off, so I'll do just a little bit of drugs and alcohol this time. But here's the key. It doesn't sound insane for us when it happens. It sounds absolutely reasonable. That's what makes it so dangerous for us. The Big Book describes something called a blank spot. And you can find that in Chapter 3, more about alcoholism, a chapter where things get very real for us. And quote, it says, I knew from that moment that I had an alcoholic mind. I saw that willpower and self-knowledge would not help in those strange mental blank spots. At certain moments, we literally lose access to the memory of what drinking actually does to us. That's the blank spot. Not intellectually, we know what happens, but emotionally, experience, it's all gone. You don't feel the DUI. You don't feel the shame, the guilt. You don't feel the consequences. All you feel is the idea that relief is possible from a drink or from a drug. And in that moment, your mind makes a decision based on incomplete data. That's the obsession. You fill in the mental blank spots with your own fan fiction, with your own narrative. This is why logic doesn't work. This is why consequences do not work. This is why promises don't work to yourself, to your friends, or to your family. Because the problem isn't that you don't know. The problem is that your mind cannot reliably access what you know at the moment it matters most. The Big Book puts it plainly. It says, our sound reasoning failed to hold us in check. You can have insight. You can have lots of awareness. You can be smart. You can be intellectual. You can even have fear driving you and still go back again and again and drink and use drugs. And here's how it actually plays out in your mind. You start with being restless, irritable, discontent. Something feels off, unsettled, uncomfortable. You're angry or you're feeling like a big victim. Then the thought comes in, a drink would fix this. A drug would fix this. Then comes justification. Then comes permission. And then almost automatically, the action occurs. The first drink, the first drug. And once that happens, the physical craving takes over. Just like Fred, the guy in the Big Book. But make no mistake, the relapse didn't start with that drink or that drug. It started with a thought. And here's how this works in your mind. A thought is like a program currently running in your mind's computer. Not something stored neatly in one place. A thought is made up of memory. It uses your brain's memory RAM, lots of it in real time. And when it stops running, it's supposed to be gone. It's not supposed to stay with us, but we as alcoholics and drug addicts, we rerun thoughts over and over. That's our obsession. So in the Big Book, we try to treat addiction like a behavior problem. We focus on stopping the behavior, changing our mental processes. But in our alcoholic minds, we don't. We introduce viruses into our thoughts so we can assign them different meaning each time. Oh, I know drinking is bad. That's the healthy thought. But this time I will just drink low alcohol content beverages. The twisting of that healthy thought. So this is how people relapse even when everything is fine in their lives. Not because they don't care, because in that moment their mind tells them a story they believe. So if the delusion is the lie we believe over time, the mental obsession is the thought that gets us in the moment. And if that is true, then the solution can't just be willpower. It never is. It has to be something that changes how the mind operates under pressure. That's when we need real recovery, not a reset, a reboot, but we need to install a whole new operating system that is a spiritual awakening. We need a new mindset, a new attitude. We need to connect with a new higher power or establish a totally different working relationship with the current God of our understanding. Because if nothing up there in our mind changes, we will always go back.